Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Bruce A. Eisenstein, President of the IEEE.
Well, hello everyone. Are you having a good time? It's a nice party, isn't it? Thank you all very much for joining us tonight to celebrate a legacy of leadership that has made the IEEE so successful. I'm the 37th president of the IEEE. Since 1963, we have grown into a worldwide organization with over 350,000 members in 159 countries. These members have helped transform the way we all live and work. Tonight and tomorrow night, we will recognize the contributions of some of our most notable members and other colleagues in our field. I will start with the presentation of our newest award. In February of this year, the Board of Directors approved the establishment of the President's Award. This award recognizes, and by the way, these globes here are the award that the recipients of the President's Award will get. This award recognizes IEEE members and non-members whose careers have exhibited distinguished leadership and contributions to the public. This is a unique award for IEEE. It's the only award whose recipients are selected by the IEEE President with the consent of the Executive Committee. In 2000, we are honoring two individuals whose names will be quite familiar to everyone in this room and to the public. Our first President's Award goes to a dynamic and brilliant individual who helped shape and transform the computer revolution. That individual is William H. Gates, Chairman of Microsoft Corporation. Bill Gates receives the President's Award for his dramatic contributions to the growth of the personal computer industry and through those efforts to industry and society in general. We also want to recognize him for innovations in software, operating systems, and applications, and for stimulating the use of the computer in everyday lives. Unfortunately, Bill could not join us this evening, and he's asked me to read this letter to you from Bill Gates. And it starts with a bit of trivia. Those of you in this room are going to be able to win trivia contests all over the place. Dear members of the IEEE, when I was in high school, my friends and I started a small company called Trafo Data. We built, that's the piece of trivia. What was the predecessor name? We built one of the very first microcomputers for counting cars on the highway, which we tried to sell to government agencies around the Pacific Northwest, but we didn't have much success at the time. Now, Bill writes, it's an honor to finally be recognized for founding Trafo Data so long ago. Seriously, a few years later, we used some of our Trafo Data stationery to write a letter to a company called MITS, offering to sell them a version of the basic programming language for a computer they had introduced called the Altair, which was built around an Intel microprocessor. The Altair was the first truly personal computer, and our BASIC was the first programming language for microcomputers and also the first Microsoft product. We started Microsoft, by the way, he adds, a much better name than Trafo Data, because we were passionate about technology and excited about what the personal computer would eventually become, namely an essential tool that's transformed our lives and changed the world in countless ways. We're proud to be part of this revolution, and we're glad that our software has helped open up so many new opportunities for you. But we really couldn't have done it without all the hard work and smart thinking Andy Grove and all of you have put into building the technology that makes computers faster, smaller, cheaper, and more richly connected. In fact, we owe so much to an early Intel microprocessor that the last 4 digits of our company phone number are 8080, in memory of the chip that got us where we are today. How many in here remember the 8080 chip? Yeah, there's a couple people. That's why it's such a great honor for me to be recognized for these achievements and become a recipient of the IEEE President's Award. This honor is magnified because it comes from the IEEE, which has done so much to set the standards that push the state-of-the-art forward and set an example for the sharing and cooperation that makes technology work. Thank you, and it's signed, Bill Gates. The Millennium Medal that's located the President's Award that's located right there is for Bill Gates, and we will make sure that he gets it. The second IEEE President's Award goes to an individual who played a key role in developing the hardware behind the computer revolution. Dr. Andrew S. Grove, Chairman of the Intel Corporation. Dr. Grove will also receive our highest award, the IEEE Medal of Honor, at tomorrow evening's ceremony. He is also our keynote speaker for tonight's event. We want to recognize him now, though, for continuing to create untold opportunities in the fields of interest of the IEEE, its members, and society. He has had a profound impact on the semiconductor industry and the computer industry worldwide. Andy, would you please come up and join me at the podium?
Thank you, Bruce.
Congratulations. Andy, through your efforts, you've helped make computer technology a seamless part of everyday life. In doing so, you have elevated the stature of electrical, electronics, and computer engineering and made invaluable contributions to the public. It is therefore my honor to present you with the IEEE President's Award, and we are delighted to have you here. And Andy, that will be your award. So,
this one.
The one with your name on it. It is also my honor to welcome you as our keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Andrew Grove.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
In the spirit of the day, I would like to talk about the internet. And specifically, I chose as the title of my speech, can I have the first slide, please? Brief history of the internet as viewed through the eyes of electrical engineers. For me, the internet started the first day I went to work at Fairchild Semiconductor in 1963. I didn't realize it, but right from that first day, I started working like a construction worker, a brick at a time, on the construction of the internet. Not only did I not realize it, a lot of us didn't realize it for 30 more years, but that's all what we were doing, and I'll submit that a lot of you in this room were doing all along the time as well. So to work on this proposition, I'm going to put out a bit of a timeline that's going to lay out on one side events that happened on the path of my construction project, starting with the first day at Fairchild in '63, and events that happened unbeknownst to us working in the field of semiconductor devices, but almost completely contemporaneously all along the line in bringing about the architecture, the concept, the architecture, and the implementation of the internet. So the story starts, first of all, 1959, even before I graduated from college. The first integrated circuit was implemented, and contrary to Bruce's assertion that it was welcomed by electrical engineers, it was derided by electrical engineers. Basically, the attitude of circuit designers to semiconductor people was, leave the circuit design to us, just build us cheaper transistors. But progress went on in spite of those protestations, and not the next point of progress, but the next point that I highlight here is that day in '63 that I joined Fairchild and started to work on the MOS transistor. And a few years later, when, along with some other colleagues, I left Fairchild and joined Intel, the first ARPANET was implemented. Now, the ARPANET was the outgrowth of President Eisenhower's reaction to the Russians launching Sputnik. And the directive that the government gave to the people, the scientists working on the construction and concept of ARPANET was to create a network that had no central node. Remember that because later we're going to touch on that again. And has perfect switching, so signals would find their way through the network, implicit in that, no matter what the Russians would do to blow up the network. Well, around the same time that Intel started, two nodes, one at University of California, Santa Barbara, and one at University of Utah, went live and started communicating along the blueprint of the internet with each other. The timeline continues with the events that Bill Gates mentioned in his letter. In the 70s, there was a lot of stuff developing, a lot of developments taking place in the field of microprocessors and in the application of microprocessors and personal computers. The MITS Altair that you've heard about was constructed, which was really the first personal computer based on the 8080 that Microsoft and, by the way, Intel also has adopted as the last 4 digits of our central phone numbers. And in the meanwhile, that's why we're called Wintel. You dial 8080, you get one of us. In the meanwhile, a lot of important developments were taking place in the networking area below the line. The first among those was the first data communication protocol invented by Bob Metcalfe and others at Xerox PARC, the Ethernet. In 1974, Bob Kahn and Vince Cerf presented a paper and published it at the 1974 IEEE Transactions and Communication Technology, introducing the TCP/IP protocol, which has been the foundation of all internet protocols since then and all internet communications since then. And in 1983, I put on there the first start of a company that has become an extremely important company in the development of the internet infrastructure, Cisco, where Lem Bossack and Sandy Lerner at Stanford University figured out a way to interconnect the different local area networks that had been implemented based on Metcalfe's Ethernet in each department and each building, and inter-network them, connect them to each other using internet protocols. So the progress continues in the 80s, introduction of different, faster, more powerful microprocessors on the top line, and evolution and construction of various internet standards below the line, introducing things, including the most important and most familiar of them being the URL, the Universal Resource Locator, on the basis of which the World Wide Web that we now know and use every day has been built on. And the equally important technical, but more particularly commercial development was the introduction in the development at the University of Illinois by Mark Andreessen and some associates of the first internet browser, the Mosaic. So where are we today? As we end our history, Intel is introducing, along with some of our respected competitors, gigahertz microprocessors, continuing the line that started with the 4004 28 years ago. And companies that have been built on the protocols that I've listed here are valued in billions of dollars, and we witness a phenomenon that is an absolutely amazing phenomenon where the invention of a 19-year-old that has resulted in the formation of a company called Napster reintroduces peer-to-peer network, which, as you remember, the original statement of the internet was, operates without central nodes in a true sense, and it creates the biggest controversy of our day in threatening all digital content industries, and in almost no time, in a matter of months, accumulates over 10 million subscribers. That is the past of a sliver of electrical engineering as witnessed through my eyes and my experience, juxtaposed against the development of the internet in terms of inventions and protocols, some examples of that. So where are we today? Today we have the world of the gigahertz processor and Napster, but more significantly we have a phenomenon here that can only be described by referring back to the powers of 10. Everything that happens on the internet happens by the powers of 10. Everything that happens on the internet can only be characterized by evoking the powers of 10. Some examples. Users. Tenfold increase, an order of magnitude increase in 5 years' time. There were 10 million users in the internet in 1995. 100 million mark was crossed sometime in the past year, and we are heading safely, one can safely say, toward 1 billion users on the net in 5 years' time. Internet commerce, the ultimate commercial payoff of all this work, is heading toward $7 trillion, which is almost worldwide, almost as big as the US gross domestic product in and of itself by, again, 2004-2005 period of time. Specific examples, so this statistic is given a little life. NTT Docomo is the cellular branch of NTT, has introduced an internet service that has accumulated 5 million units, 5 million users in less than 1 year of operation in Japan alone. 3 orders of magnitude kind of increase in 5 months' time. 3 orders of magnitude increase in a little over a year's time is exemplified by Google, one of the search engine companies. Again, we're going to talk about their infrastructure in a few minutes. Based on off-the-shelf microprocessors growing topsy-turvy and providing an indexing mechanism that's unbelievably fast of the very large portion of the World Wide Web. And of course, various other segments of the economy are impacted by that, including the simple observation that you can barely not find an English sentence or an English phrase that has not been trademarked, because the number of trademarks, the number of URLs that have been registered are growing also by an order of magnitude at the same time. All this growth is built and implemented and improved and extended by electrical engineers, yourselves, your students, students, everywhere in the world. That internet infrastructure is a marvel of electrical engineering. But today's internet is not the final word. The genius of the discovery of the internet is that it's an adaptive, growing phenomenon that can be improved and extended in the years ahead. And I want to end by noodling a little bit about what role electrical engineering is going to have in that. First of all, going back in that, you have seen a couple of places the location for the internet service providers and the location of the data centers in that previous video. These are the boiler rooms of the internet. That is where the heavy-duty work of exchanging and routing and storing the bits of information that represent your request for that song and the bits that make up for that song take place. It requires a lot of labor, and it requires a lot of space, and it requires a lot of power, and it requires a lot of air conditioning, because boiler rooms, bit boiler rooms as well as physical boiler rooms, are very, very expensive and demanding environments. As the capacity of these boiler rooms increases, as the demand for them proliferates all over the world in various nooks and crannies of corporations and universities and private homes, these considerations are going to be paramount. And what is going to come to the fore as a physical criterion is power density. It is going to be increasingly MIPS per cubic feet, and particularly usable and operational MIPS per cubic feet, MIPS from which the electrical power can be supplied to and from which the thermal power can be removed. It is going to be a whole different ball game, and is going to bring back the skills of heat transfer engineers and power engineers whose work until now has not really been involved in the construction of the internet. the future high-density, high-performance internet is going to require their works. Just to give you a bit of an example, I mentioned Google a bit earlier in illustrating their phenomenal growth rate, but Google is notable in this consideration also. The people who architected Google's data center realized that Google has to scale with the size of the internet, and therefore size and power are going to be absolutely limiting them, and it will be the biggest problem as they scale the size of the data center that they operate. So power density and server density and device density has been paramount in their design right from the beginning, at a time when the whole of Google data center could be put into a room smaller than the size of this stage. That approach is saving Google, which is still a small private company, $1 million in space, where today they operate 4,000 servers, densely packed, densely arranged in such a way that electricity can be provided to these dense stacks of servers, and thermal energy can be dissipated, can be taken away from. And all of this is done by the use of highly densely packed off-the-shelf microprocessors, and all of this is going to be a whole lot more challenging as those microprocessors are going to go up in frequency and therefore power dissipation, and we're going to see kilowatt kind of power dissipation on a single motherboard as compared to the tens of watts today. So power engineers are going to have a renaissance in their role in constructing the internet going forward. Another area of great importance is the emergence of wireless networks. As the phenomenon of NTT Docomo example that I indicated shows you, there's a great demand for having the internet with you as you move away from your desk, as you move away from your home. Radio engineering comes to the rescue, and just as a single example of that, there are many shapes and shades of wireless. One very important use of it is the local area network that connects a portable computer to the corporate network through the ether, not Ethernet, ether radio waves, and one implementation of that has brought together over 1,000 companies in trying to implement a standard form of that. Is called Bluetooth. And basically this provides a short range, very low power radio, very low cost radio that's built into every instrument and both ends of the wireless wire, so to say, such that you can walk into a room and immediately get on a network, and the network will recognize you as a user, and you operate transparently, automatically like that. So radio engineering is another field that is in, because the usefulness of digital electronics in reaching the internet in a mobile fashion depends on radio technology. The scaling of the internet also brings in a field that has really been very underrepresented in the construction of the internet, not physically, because to a large extent the backbone of the internet has been based on optical networking, but it has been a relatively passive, relatively low capacity form of optical networking. As the Googles and the Docomos drive traffic by orders of magnitude more bandwidth has to be deployed, and preferably has to be deployed by better utilization of the physical optical infrastructure as compared to, in contrast with laying out much more infrastructure in addition to that. So technologies like wave division multiplexing comes to the fore, which requires basically the use of lenses and optical technology to arrange the photons in such a way that different wavelengths can be deployed and carry signals on the same physical strand of optical fiber. The technology involved here are basically lasers, waveguides, optical and microwave technology that has had utilization in military applications before, far more than in digital electronics, and yet the advances of the future internet depend on exactly that kind of skills being brought back. So microwave engineering is in. I mentioned Napster, this new phenomenon. As I view this as a technological marvel. A Gordian knot, you're all familiar with the simplicity of Gordian knot, cutting through it with a sharp knife. This is equally simple, solves a major problem, but viewed from the owners of optical networks, it's a little bit different. As indicated, digital content is a little bit different. This cartoon, if you can't read it, it says, one person says to the other one, Mozart died penniless, and the other one, the computer says, who's obviously an electrical engineer, says, bummer, was everyone getting his tunes off Napster also? Peer-to-peer networks, in the construction of peer-to-peer networks, what you see is the conglomeration of three major trends: the high bandwidth connectivity that has been deployed and is being deployed, the high performance desktop computers and notebook computers that are being hooked on the network, and the digital content, particularly first implementation, digital music, that is now available in CDs and various other digital media. Very briefly, every PCs that you have at home can play the role of a server, a high-performance server, as well as a client, provided it is connected to a high-performance server, high-performance bandwidth, high-bandwidth network, and this allows a worldwide exchange of digital information without going through the central nodes. Again, remember that statement of the original ARPA mission. This peer-to-peer networking on the internet really delivers on that 40-year-old objective, literally and in substance. It is a killer app, the like of which hasn't been seen since the introduction of the browser almost 10 years ago, that explains, or that is attested to by the appearance of over 10 million users in a matter of a few months. And if you consider that each of these users has maybe 100 files in their possession, what you are dealing with is a library of 1 billion files that are ready and are being shared between users voluntarily without a central supervision through these high-performance networks between these high-performance clients that play the role of servers. Interestingly, remember, this is how networking started. Networking was conceived not as a connection between clients and large computers, servers, boiler rooms, but between clients that weren't even called clients, computers and similar computers elsewhere. So this is, in a way, a reversion to the original form of networking as well. Semiconductor technology is the underpinning of all of these things that we are talking about. I like to believe, literally it's not true, I like to believe that basically the internet runs on silicon. As frequencies indicate, there's going to be an increasing role for silicon germanium, maybe gallium arsenide, other types of semiconductors. But for the largest part, the internet does and will continue to run on silicon. And as the computational needs move to higher speeds, as connection speeds dictated by higher performance wires, and electrons and photons moving on high performance wires require high performance node-to-node connectivity, semiconductor technology is moving just as it has in the past, the present, and in the future, as a constant driving force, constant engine of progress. But the key point of all of this, when you really think about it, is the internet may run on silicon, but it may also run on fiber optics, but it runs through the handiwork, through the work and creation of electrical engineers who are the craftsmen of the internet, who have been the craftsmen of the internet, and who as I hoped I could give, I succeeded in giving an illustration, even to the tune of pulling heat transfer engineers and microwave engineers and power engineers and optical engineers out of retirement will continue to drive them in the future, because the only thing that is constant about this construction is the role of electrical engineering in its various disciplines and in its interdisciplinary form. So, as the risk of using an old cliche, the best is yet to come, and our work and your work is going to be very much in demand to build this future out. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful speech.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him how I get those bells and whistles on my Pentium 3. The celebration this evening is unique. It's the first IEEE celebration held to mark the end of one millennium and the beginning of another. It's not surprising there weren't many electrical engineers around at the start of the last millennium. Back in 1998, we started planning how we would celebrate this moment. We wanted to acknowledge the people who brought us here and will carry us forward into the third millennium. The result was the creation of the IEEE Third Millennium Medals. Each medal marks this milestone and symbolizes years of individual accomplishments by IEEE members. Approximately 3,000 IEEE members from around the world have been selected by IEEE sections, societies, regions, major boards. We gave the selection teams tremendous latitude to select deserving individuals. Some chose promising young engineers for their special contributions. Others chose more experienced members for their technical leadership or service. It's only fitting that we include in this group our board of directors who are leading the IEEE during this Millennium Celebration year. These individuals are giving generously of their time and experience to help us make the most of the opportunities ahead. They are guiding our organization into the third millennium. It is therefore my privilege to bestow a Millennium Medal upon each of the members of the 2000 IEEE Board of Directors. Can I ask each of you to stand when I call your name, and an associate will deliver your medal to you. You don't have to come up, it's going to come right to you. Start in alphabetical order, Robert D. Adams. Please stand, and remain standing, Rob. Michael S. Adler. W. Cleon Anderson. Antonio C. Bastos. Barry C. Brusso. Doris L. Carver. David A. Connor. Robert A. Dent. Celia L. Desmond. Irving Engelson. Lyle D. Feisel. Janie M. Falk. Luis T. Gandia. William G. Geertsen. Eric Hers. Theodore W. Hissey, Jr. Barry W. Johnson. Joseph A. Kolaski. David J. Kemp. Nahid Kazani. Joseph V. Lilly. Donald C. Lockery. Pedro A. Ray. Rolf A. Remshart. Richard L. Riddle, Thomas R. Rowbottom, B. Don Russell, Takuo Sagano, Ralph W. Windrum Jr., Joel B. Snyder. Please join me in expressing our thanks to the 2000 IEEE Board of Directors. Our thanks to you all. You may be seated. The IEEE has had a glorious past and a bright future thanks to the leadership of IEEE past presidents. We are honored to have 20 of them with us tonight. It's my understanding that this may be the first time that we've had a gathering of the past presidents of the IEEE, and I certainly hope this is not the last time we do this. This ought to be a regular occasion for us. By serving as role models and advancing the mission of the IEEE, each of these leaders has made a lasting contribution. The ongoing growth and enduring prestige of the Institute is a testament to their legacy of leadership. We are proud to present each of them tonight with the IEEE Third Millennium Medal. Again, can I ask each of you to stand up so everyone can see you? I'm going to go in reverse order, starting with my immediate predecessor, Kenneth R. Laker, Joseph Bordonia, Charles K. Alexander, Wallace S. Reed, James T. Kane, H. Troy Nagel, Martha Sloan, Merle W. Buckley, Jr., Carlton A. Bayless, Emerson W. Pugh, Bruno O. Weinschel, Charles A. Eldon, Richard J. Gowan, Robert E. Larson, Robert M. Saunders, Arthur P. Stern, John J. Guerrera, and Robert H. Tanner. Would you please join me in expressing our thanks to the past IEEE presidents? You may be seated. Now, if anyone was counting, you may have noticed that I named only 18 of the past presidents. But last, by no means least, is Dr. William Shepard, who was the 4th president of the IEEE back in 1966. Dr. Shepard, would you please come to the podium?
Thank you, Bruce. It is truly an honor to take part in this wonderful event. It's a source of pleasure and pride for me to see how the IEEE continues to be a leader among the technical professional societies worldwide. On behalf of the IEEE past presidents, I want to commend you, Bruce, for continuing our legacy of leadership. And I regard it as a singular honor to award you with this IEEE Third Millennium Medal.
No, thank you very much, Bill, and our thanks again to all the presidents, the past presidents of the IEEE. Please, let's have another round of applause for the past presidents. I've given out a lot of these during the course of the year, and now I finally have mine. We're waiting for today for me to get my medal. It's very gratifying to receive this award, especially in the presence of those who have built the IEEE into what it is today. We sometimes get so caught up in the day-to-day business of the IEEE that we forget what we've accomplished since the IEEE was formed from our predecessor societies nearly 40 years ago. In fact, the entire new economy, all the things that Andy was talking about, as Andy so eloquently put it, the people described the new economy as the processor-based world. It was developed by the members of this organization. We actually did invent the internet. And you know what else? We also invented cellular phones, global positioning satellites, digital television, and much, much more. I was just at the International Microwave Symposium in Boston, which, by the way, was dedicated to Ted Sod, who's sitting in the back of the room there, a distinguished member of IEEE. And only half facetiously, the people at the Microwave Symposium said, you know what? We're going to be remembered most of all for a fast way of heating up food. But as we all know, the microwaves, of course, are the basis of the wireless revolution. We have a whole new economy. It's based on silicon, not sweat. Throughout all these changes in technology and society, the IEEE has shown remarkable stability and strength. We could have easily split up into separate technical societies. But our leaders, the people whom we honor tonight, had the foresight to keep this organization together. They maintained a healthy balance between a federation and a confederation. Today we have 36 individual societies, 4 technical councils, 300 sections around the world. They all work together to advance our profession. As a result, we have access to a unified base of technical knowledge containing more than 3 million pages of intellectual property reviewed and compiled by us, the IEEE. We benefit from a free exchange of ideas and a wide variety of perspectives. Thanks to our size and scale, we can deliver benefits that enhance the value of IEEE membership. And we maintain an international perspective, which is increasingly important in today's global economy. We see the big picture, and we have greater influence as a result. Much of the IEEE's success and the world's technological progress comes from the achievements of those who have received our highest award, the Medal of Honor. The Medal of Honor is our most prestigious award. Past recipients have included such notable individuals as Guglielmo Marconi, Robert Noyce, William Shockley, to name just a few. The list is in your program there. To complete this millennial celebration, we have invited past Medal of Honor recipients to join us. 9 of them are here tonight, and I got to tell you, I received a number of letters from Nobel laureates and others who wished they could be here but had other commitments. 9 of them are here tonight, and we'd like to award each of them the IEEE 3rd Millennium Medal. Would you please stand when I call your name? I'll begin with the most senior Medal of Honor recipient who's here tonight, John R. Winery. Paul C. Lauterberg. Calvin F. Quate. C. Kumar N. Patel. Carl J. Ostrom. Alfred Y. Cho. George H. Heilmeyer. Donald O. Peterson. Charles Concordia. And finally, this year's Medal of Honor recipient, the most recent Medal of Honor recipient, Andrew S. Grove. Ladies and gentlemen, these Medal of Honor recipients represent our best and our brightest, the luminaries of our age. And as such, we'd like to single them out for luminary recognition. Now, you gentlemen may be seated at this point, but you'll notice that in front of you, we have small electric torches. Don't be afraid, they're not going to burn the place down. Everyone take out their torch, but light them only when I tell you, okay? So let's hang on, and we'll try and do this all together. All right? Medal of Honor recipients, would you each pick up a torch and light it up? Turn it on. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our luminaries, our shining stars, individuals who lit the way for future discoveries. Please join me in expressing our appreciation to the Medal of Honor winners. Will all the past presidents and current board members that we have honored here tonight please light their torches as well? Past presidents and current board members. I have to come out here so I can see this. Okay, you have been the guiding light for IEEE. You have fueled us with your devotion and energy. May you continue to shine your light of leadership as we move forward into a bright and promising future. And now I ask the members of the audience to look around you. If your career, if your life has been touched by the contributions of our Medal of Honor recipients and fine leaders, I ask that you now light your torch as well. And wave them around. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have is a legacy we have created together. Doesn't this look wonderful? It is the light of your insight, perseverance, and ingenuity. I urge you to take your light and to continue to shine it on the world. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow at the Medal of Honor ceremony.